tons of reactions pouring in. I bet Katie Miller will have a good answer on this. And we will bring her in. She's got a great new podcast, wife of Stephen Miller, Trump White House official. She has done a lot of different things, a lot of positive things about her. One negative I would have to share right off the top is that she is a Florida Gator, and she graduated from there back when Florida was actually still good at football. Seems like a long time ago. And we bring in now Katie Miller with that introduction. Katie, I hope everything is going well. I've seen the podcast, the clips as well, and it seems to be going very well there. Much better than Florida Gator football. But right off the top here, you and Katie Britt, I actually watched a decent amount of this, had a big conversation about the we started off the show today talking about culture and how culture, you have to win in culture in order to win in politics. And I love what you're doing with the podcast because I think this is a big part of that. But you have seen Sydney Sweeney, stock of American Eagle, is skyrocketing today. They put a pretty girl in jeans and said, go buy jeans. You have seen, and I wanted to lead with this because you are a former Florida Gator sorority girl. So was Katie Britt. You have seen these sorority videos just take over TikTok, take over Instagram, take over Twitter. It feels like cultural normalcy. Boys are boys, girls are girls, football setting records, SEC schools are flooded with applications. It feels like there's just a huge, desperate demand for the country to return to normal. Do you feel that? Is that a part of what you're tapping into with your show?
Thanks, Clay and Buck, for having me on today. It's very exciting to do your show for the first time, and I'd be remiss if I did not say go Gators. And very much an ouch that Florida football is indeed fantastic. There is nothing like being in the swamp on a Saturday, cheering alongside 90,000 fans for the Gators to get a touchdown.
Wait, can I jump in really quick, Katie? Just because, so my wife is also a Gator, and she's also a follower, listener of your podcast, by the way. She has fabulous taste in everything, audio, husbands, colleges. What year were you at UF?
I was there. I was pledge class 2010, University of Florida, Alpha Omicron Pi, proud panda. But
you guys might have overlapped. I know it's a big place, but anyway, keep going. UF ladies are the best. Go ahead.
We are 100% the best. Still remember my sorority cheers. But no, why I launched the podcast is you're so right, is in order to change culture, you have to talk to people where they are. And we saw in the 2024 election, President Trump talked to every podcaster out there, right? They called it the bro election, and having bros be bros again, right? Guys be guys, women be women. But there is no female podcast out there that talks lifestyle, relatability, what's going on in the lives of women that's not political and that isn't just politics all day long. And so in order for us to change culture, we have to talk to women where they are. You know, what are you listening to when you're washing dishes, when you're folding laundry, when you're doing a craft with your kids? I didn't think there was anything out there for me, so I thought, why not do it myself?
So you've had conversations already, Katie, with Vice President J.D. Vance, Senator Katie Britt. I mean, clearly you're getting some very big names to sit down with you. What are some of the topics? I mean, you've mentioned them in broad stroke, but some of the more specific issues that you think conservative women want discussed more, want more attention, whether it's in the podcast universe or just in the broader media ecosystem?
I just think a women's issue is not just, and I hate to be like crude when I say this, it's not just our period and sex and those type of issues, right? A women's issue is just how a woman talks about issues, and I hate being bucketed into just saying my brain can only handle what is quote-unquote a women's issue, because I think it does a disservice to all smart women out there and women who have a brain, which is 100% of us, though some may not use it as well as others. And so what issues do we talk about? You know, you mentioned I had Katie Britt, you mentioned I had J.D. Vance, and with two political guests, we did everything except politics, right? What does JD make for breakfast in the morning? What time does he get home? Is he putting his kids to bed? What's his favorite condiment? You know, the really important issues you want to know from your vice president. And so, you know, this episode we just released Monday night at 6 o'clock was with Joe Gebbia, the co-founder of Airbnb. How did he start Airbnb? You know, we asked him important questions like, what's the dumbest thing he's ever spent money on? If you had all the money in the world, what's the craziest thing you've spent it on? You know, what's life like as a billionaire? That, you know, only, I think it's 2,800 people in the whole world get to experience that. What's that like? which, people don't ever ask those questions because they're probably inappropriate, but I've somehow lost a filter over years of working for President Trump. And then there's also, questions like next week we have on Mike Tyson, which is, really fun for your audience, but I asked him about everything except boxing. And so what did we talk about? We talked about what does he do when he works out, which day is leg day, which day is arm day, which guess what? He works out every part of his body every day. Apparently he's in his gym most hours of the day. We talked about, which will be really fun, what was it like living next to Wayne Newton, and they have two different types of animals. One has horses and one has tigers, and let you know how that works out on the podcast.
We somehow got onto a conversation because Buck was watching with his wife, Carrie, the movie The English Patient. And I mentioned that in 1996, when that movie came out, I went on a date with a girl that I liked at the time, The English Patient, which is closer to going on a date to watch Schindler's List than it is to go watch the new Happy Gilmore. What is the worst date that you've ever been on? And do you remember, like, part of the way through it, like thinking, I've got to get a girlfriend to call me to get out of this? Have you ever had a situation where you were like, this is absolute misery, how do I get out of this?
I've had one, I can recall it was actually when I was at Florida. A friend of mine, we had gone on a double date to, oh my gosh, it was a steakhouse in Tampa. So we were in a car with these guys for like an hour and a half. We're at the restaurant. We're both like, we got to run, but we're an hour and a half away from home. And so we ended up, this was like pre-Uber, right? So you're like, how do you get from Tampa back to Gainesville? We ended up staying in a hotel for the night and renting a car the next day. But that was probably the worst.
That's how bad the date was? You refused to get in a car to drive back to Gainesville with them?
Yes. We ended up staying the night in Tampa at a hotel with no change of clothes. I remember this vividly because those are the nights you remember. I don't remember why we went on this double date. I don't remember who the double date was with. If I couldn't even recall like what their faces looked like, I just knew this was like not the vibe.
All right, wait, hold on. So we're talking to Katie Miller here of the Katie Miller podcast, which was just launched. And Katie, we can't let you go. We can't let you bypass. Do you agree with me that The English Patient is a wildly overrated movie, or are you on Team Peterman from Seinfeld that it's so good if anyone doesn't like it, they should be fired?
I've never seen it, guys.
See, I hadn't seen it till this weekend, so that's why we were talking about it. I thought everyone, Katie, had seen it. I thought everybody knew. So that's.
But I'll tell you a really good one here. Some breaking news for you. So I asked Mike Tyson, would he rather watch The Notebook every day, every Friday for the rest of his life, or never watch sports again? And he said The Notebook is his ultimate favorite movie. So I come home, Stephen Miller and I are talking about this, right? We're like, and he's like, I've never seen The Notebook. So to me, if you're saying The English Patient is one of these that like everyone's got to see as their like ultimate date night movie, I thought The Notebook was that for sure, and Steven's never seen it. So
okay, well,
so I've never
seen
The Notebook. Have you seen The Notebook, Buck?
Clay, I was a single guy going on. Of course, I got dragged to The Notebook. Every guy who has ever been single when it came out saw The Notebook. But Katie, do you? I mean, I know you know this because your husband. We're both Stephen Miller fans here, and back in the OG days, back in the first administration. And do you realize that his favorite movie is also probably the favorite movie of my two brothers and me, which is Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which we can quote every single line from this movie. Steven said on the show that he believes that is the best movie ever made.
I agree. Steven loves movies. He really, I agree with that because we watch that all the time. It's his favorite.
You've been forced to watch Bloodsport. Let me ask you this.
So many times, guys.
It's so, Clay, I can do
awesome.
every line from that movie. You start talking to me in Bloodsport, I can respond in Bloodsport. It's like its own language.
You worked with Elon. You're talking about all of these different guests that you have. I imagine at some point Elon will be on. But leaving aside, obviously, like trying to put people on Mars and all the success with the different companies, what surprised you about Elon as a person? Like you said, Mike Tyson, you didn't expect him to like The Notebook. What do you think would surprise people about Elon that doesn't have to do with the brilliant entrepreneurial aspect based on your experience with him?
To me, the most surprising part about Elon is how much he truly cares about his employees. And I don't just mean that they're excellent and succeeding for him in business. I mean, how much he cares about their livelihoods, their personal lives, and their general well-being. You know, you talk about Mars, and I believe everyone who's listening, including both of you, should go to Starbase, Texas, if you haven't. It is this unbelievable town where they've built just for the employees of SpaceX, but they have flights that go to and from LA every week so that employees who live in Texas can get to a metropolis whenever they want to, an urban city, and get to their friends and family. And it's paid for by the company, and they can bring their family with them. They built unbelievable houses and a pool and bars and restaurants and a gym. And it is truly this like little oasis on a strip of sand in Texas that's meant to make his employees' lives better. With a doctor, with medical care, with like a little convenience store, that's all for his employees. And I believe you don't do that and build something like that unless you really want people who work for you to be extremely happy. And everyone who works for him feels that similarly.
Katie, I know you're talking again to the larger culture here, and I bet you now think about this. I think you have 3 kids. Buck's got 1. I've got 3.
I have a 4, 3, and 2-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, that is, yes. So you're in the weeds in a big way. Buck has got an under 1, and my boys are getting older, 17, 14, and 10. But I now think a lot about the fact that, and I know this is something that Elon has been tweeting about, I bet you think about it some too, the population is collapsing. It feels like men are often unhappy with women, and women are often unhappy with men. How do we get back the sexes to being somewhat happy, right? I understand there's jokes and relationships and everything else, but when there aren't kids being produced, when there aren't a lot of babies, society is legitimately being threatened. I worry about this quite a lot. Do you think about it at all? What advice would you have out there for the single people?
Times a day. Oh
yeah,
gosh,
okay,
this is one of my most thought about topics. If it was up to Stephen, we'd have probably a dozen children, though I don't know if your wife feels similarly, but being pregnant is not my thing. However, still more kids to come in the Miller households. But I would tell you this, is that I think one of the worst things that happened to our country was when 16 and Pregnant, that show on MTV that we all credit with stopping, teen birth rates, is the one that started collapsing, younger kids having kids. You saw with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce is that them getting engaged is the culmination of their adulthood instead of the beginning. We should be getting married and having babies at the beginning of our adult lives, not at the end. Because women were meant to have kids in younger years. And I'll say this, as I'm 33 and I understand that every year I get older makes it harder for me to have a kid. I'm not, immune to that fact. But we aren't encouraging women to have kids younger. We are encouraging, and we're having a society that is encouraging childbirth at older years, right? Why is it at hospitals in DC that their first-time moms are 39 years old? That's a geriatric pregnancy. We shouldn't be doing that. It's not healthy for the mother. It's not healthy for the child. We should be encouraging younger rates. And I think that goes to, I see a lot of this, is that women feel that they're better than the men and they must have the same equal degree as the man, and then therefore they don't feel less than. We need to be telling, and I also think one other point on this, is that when women were told to go to the workplace and that they should have the same job as a man, that did not glamorize going to an office, because I believe a woman's best job and her primary job, because that's what our brains are wired to do, is raise children. Does that mean that should be the only thing you do? No. But we should not be in a society where women feel like they have to go to work and raising their kids isn't their first available option. Because I think when you're telling a woman that they should feel that to be equal to a man, they have to go to an office, that's when we're losing as society.
Katie Miller podcast, everybody. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, just spot on. And a great way for all of you to hear more of this analysis is to go subscribe to Katie's podcast. Katie, tell Stephen that we send a high five and congrats on the podcast, all the success you're having so far. And come back after you've watched The English Patient. Let us know what you think.
Thanks, guys. And you can find the Katie Miller podcast everywhere you find a podcast. Like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Go check it out.
Good luck to the Gators. Not too good luck, though. And appreciate Katie. I do think, and we'll come back and we'll have some more conversations about this. Culture. You have to win the culture wars. And I love what she's trying to do with this podcast. Again, watching the clips, connecting with people where they are, not trying to find them to get them to drag to where you are. Anyway, just something I spent a lot of time thinking about. No one likes hearing about a break-in in their neighborhood. Kind of thing puts everyone on edge. You want to make sure you have the best tools to protect yourself and your family, and that's exactly what Sabre does. These are non-lethal, right? So if you are concerned, like we are in this household, about teenagers sneaking in and out of the house, my 14-year-old set off the alarm after hours recently, sneaking out. If you have anybody out there that maybe has tried to sneak in and out of your house, maybe you got kids or grandkids coming in and out all hours, you want to be able to protect your house, but you don't want to use lethal means to do so. This is what Sabre is all about. Pepper sprays. You just heard Katie Miller talking about when she was in a sorority at UF. I bet she had a pepper spray. I bet most of your daughters should, if they do not already, have some pepper spray in their car. Maybe they're walking to and from the office, wherever they are. Get hooked up right now with Sabre. Sabre's pepper sprays, pepper gels, projectile devices, all made right here in the good old USA, keeping jobs at home. And right now you can save 15% on Sabre's mega bundle with the extra projectiles magazine practice targets. Visit SabreRadio.com. That's SABRE radio.com. You can also call 844-824-SAFE. That's 844-824-SAFE.